Hello and welcome to the National Black MBA Association's Wednesday webinar series, and we thank you for joining us. Before I turn things over to our presenter, I'd like to take a moment to acquaint you with a few features of this web event technology. At any time, you may adjust your audio using any computer volume settings you have available. Over on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see the Q&A window. To submit a question, please type it in the small text box at the bottom, and when finished, click the Send button. You may do this at any time during today's program, and our presenter will be addressing questions later on in today's event. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to our speaker, Melissa Torres. Melissa is the forum's president and CEO and has 2 decades of experience in higher education and program development. She holds a BA in International Studies from Stonehill College and a master's degree in global education from The Ohio State University. So with no further ado, Melissa, I'll turn the audience over to you now.
Thank you, Don. I'm delighted to be with you here today. I'd like to begin with an introduction to the Forum on Education Abroad. We are a not-for-profit association founded in 2001. We are recognized by the Federal Trade Commission and the U.S. Department of Justice as the standards development organization for the field of education abroad at the post-secondary level. This means that we have the responsibility for developing and disseminating standards for the entire range of education abroad activities at the college level. This includes short-term faculty-led programs, exchanges, international internships, international service learning programs, graduate education abroad, and the more traditional semester or year abroad. Forum members sign a statement saying they are committed to the goals of our organization and its standards of good practice. The standards are an authoritative set of guidelines for the development and management of high-quality education abroad programs. They cover everything from an organization's mission and goals to the policies, procedures, and guidelines they use, as well as student development before, during, and after their program. The standards also address the institution's responsibility to students in terms of health, safety, and well-being. The Forum is an institutional membership organization, and we have over 800 institutional members. Many of those members are U.S. colleges, universities, and program provider organizations, but we also have universities and education abroad program providers based outside the U.S. Forum members enjoy a wide range of benefits and services, including training and professional networking opportunities, an annual U.S. conference and biennial European conference. We have extensive online resources that have been developed or contributed by Forum members with deep expertise in education abroad programming and administration. I'd like to tell you a bit more about the standards of good practice because this is really at the heart of everything we do and it's vitally important to the field. The standards support the complex responsibilities inherent in offering education abroad opportunities to students, and they act as a means to develop, manage, assess, and improve education abroad programming. As a commonly developed and accepted set of standards, they provide a framework for accountability. One of the challenges facing the field of ed abroad is diversifying student participation. We're still only sending about 1% of U.S. students abroad. And if you're not white, there's an even greater chance that you are not obtaining the benefit of the skill development and employment opportunities that studying abroad often provides. As this chart demonstrates, only 6.1% of African American students study abroad, and only about 10.2% of Latinx students do so. The Forum is deeply committed to increasing participation by students from traditionally underrepresented groups. We have a number of initiatives designed to support the faculty, staff, and program providers who are teaching or advising these students and who can influence and support students' interest in participating in education abroad programs offered by their college or university. Here's a list of the major projects underway at the Forum to support equity, diversity, and inclusion in ed abroad. As you can probably tell from this webinar, we have a new partnership with the National Black MBA Association. We've also been working with an organization called Diversity Abroad, which provides information and resources directly to students. Our council, which is the working body elected by Forum members, has a working group focused on identifying and addressing the specific challenges the HBCUs have related to education abroad programming, and another for community colleges. We're also offering a brand new workshop entitled Supporting Diverse Students During Study Abroad that will be offered in Costa Rica this April and in Ghana later in the year. The newest version of the Standards of Good Practice will be announced at our annual conference next month, and for the first time, the standards include guidance on equity, diversity, and inclusion for all institutions to follow. Additionally, during the past fiscal year, we've kicked off 2 new programs. The first is a grant for institutions that cannot afford membership dues to join the forum. The second, our new Forum Fellowship, is designed to support staff and faculty from HBCUs, tribal colleges, and Hispanic Serving Institutions to participate in our professional certification in education abroad credential. Certification validates fundamental knowledge of the standards, recognizes the ability to articulate and to apply the standards, and establishes advanced capabilities in analysis and synthesis of the standards of good practice. It also demonstrates a commitment to professional excellence and ethical conduct. The certification program is based upon the standards within the field, supports quality education abroad at colleges, universities, and program provider organizations, improves the field of education abroad, enhances careers, and promotes lifelong learning. The certification program is available to applicants with at least 1 full year professional experience, typically as an education abroad administrator, a student advisor, or a faculty member who is teaching at an institution that supports education abroad. Applications are accepted on a rolling basis and require a curriculum vitae and a description of what the applicant expects to gain from participation. It usually takes between 1 to 3 years to complete the entire program, and the expectation is that everyone enrolled will become certified. The goal is not to weed people out or to make them fail. Instead, we supply a lot of support and numerous opportunities to successfully complete all of the requirements. The certification curriculum comprises 6 modules plus a culminating project. Each module consists of a workshop led by a forum-trained facilitator and standards assignments. The assignments are accessed and submitted online, and all modules are also available online. Workshops are offered across the U.S. and internationally, so people can participate in different locations at dates and times convenient for them. The assignments have been designed so participants can apply the standards in real life, and they're meant to provide people with skills that can be used in their own institutions and in their daily work. The assessors are also certified and are professionals with experience in the field. The evaluation of assignments is a double-blind system, so assessors don't know who the person is who submitted the assignment, and they work in pairs to review every assignment. And as you can see, the modules within certification are based on the major content areas of the standards of good practice. Some individuals will enroll in accelerated residency, where they can do all 6 workshops in 3 days. Typically, there are between 25 to 45 participants, creating a professional cohort. And occasionally people will work on assignments with members of their cohort group. They typically complete assignments in the evenings or later at home, and they learn from the collective experience of their peers and the facilitators. For other people, it's easier to begin with a single module and obtain a forum credential for that subject matter before proceeding to the next module. Once an individual has completed certification, they receive a certificate. They also are able to use the certification mark and digital badges associated with the program. Their name is listed on the forum's website as a certified professional in education abroad. They are announced in the forum's newsletter and also via social media. Individuals from forum member institutions pay $1,850 for the total program, including application. And for anyone who is not based at a forum member, the program fee is $25.50, inclusive of the application. A discounted rate is available for groups of 2 or 3 participants from the same institution. And as I mentioned previously, forum fellowships are also available to assist with program and logistical expenses. And with that, I would be happy to take calls from anyone who's online who might want to know a little bit more about the professional certification.
All right, thank you, Melissa. As a reminder for our audience, the Q&A window is located on the right-hand side of your screen. To submit a question, please type your question in the small text box at the bottom, and when finished, click the send button. And just a heads up for you, Melissa, that it's just you and I on the phone today. Everyone else is listening through their computer speakers, so they will be submitting their questions online, which we invite and encourage them to do. And we'll allow a little time here for questions to come in from our audience. And if we don't get any questions, I will defer to you, Melissa, for any closing thoughts you may have before we wrap things up. And it looks like we did get one there. What are your thoughts about someone in admin, finance, and Oh, we got part of a question. As you can see there, it looks like we lost some of the text on that. But what we did get is, what are your thoughts about someone in admin, finance, and HR role at a higher institution getting the certification?
I think it's entirely applicable because particularly if you're working in a role where you're involved in international risk or you're working on finances for students who perhaps they're using their financial aid for education abroad, or you're being asked to do the finances for an education abroad office, or looking at the way that programs are funded. Knowing what the standards are and what the institution's responsibility is, as well as best practices in the field, is incredibly helpful.
And we've got a couple of more questions in the queue. Is the certification, Melissa, to be able to place people?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Is it to be able to place people in education abroad programs? The answer to that is no. It is a preferred qualification by many institutions, and it's a relatively new credential. So the forum has been offering this credential for about 6 years, and what we're seeing is that more and more employers, particularly at forum member institutions, will list professional certification as a preferred qualification in their job announcements.
All right, thank you. Up next, once you complete the program for certification, are you guaranteed an opportunity to work in education abroad?
I wish I could say that was true. No, there's certainly not a guarantee that comes with it, but it is a fantastic way to develop one's professional network within the field, particularly if you're participating in accelerated residency, because you're together with 25 or up to 45 individuals who are working at different institutions across the country and some outside the U.S., and so, of course, developing that network and getting to know them and them having a chance to spend time with you really helps you and gives you an advantage when applying for jobs.
All right, and I think that last one in there, Melissa, is just a comment for you. I don't know if it's actually a question or not, but it looks like we may have handled all the questions in the queue. Unless you want to comment on that last comment from our first questioner, anything else you'd like to add before we wrap things up?
Just that we're seeing more and more people who are not directly in the education abroad office coming to pursue certification. And so I encourage people who maybe education abroad isn't your full-time job, but you're working with your alma mater or you're working with student groups who are interested in education abroad either as a profession or opportunities for themselves. The standards of good practice and the forum's resources are available online, free to the public. They're a great way for students to be able to develop lists of questions when they're trying to consider a certain program. There are many resources out there, and as I said, free to the general public. And we would love to hear from anyone online who is interested in certification. There's our email is certification@forumea.org if you have specific questions, and our website is www.forumea.org, and there are many resources out there for people who are interested in the field.
And it looks like we got one additional question in here, and we do have time. Do you need experience with teaching courses in order to apply for this certification?
Oh, absolutely not. We have people who are working as student advisors. We have others who might be working in an education abroad office in an administrative role. We have people who are working on the financial side of things. They might be in the financial aid office, could be a registrar's office who's interested in how do you work on school of record questions. Sometimes it's people in marketing who are responsible for creating marketing materials for students, or the Office of Diversity and Inclusion that is trying to work more closely with Ed Abroad. There are all types of different roles, and we do have some faculty who lead programs abroad or who are teaching courses that have an international component, and they want to learn more about the education abroad field, but you certainly do not have to have experience teaching.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. On behalf of NBMBAA, I'd like to thank our presenter for a great program, and thank you, the audience, for your participation in today's event. This will conclude today's program. Again, thank you for attending, and have a nice day.